Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, that was good.
That was good.
Yeah,
There's
fun.
a lot of fun stuff to talk
I
about.
loved your section on joy.
Oh, thank you. Thank
You
you.
did a great job of explaining that, and I think there were some really great tips in there as well about being able to experience joy, and they're just very fundamental. Here's a couple steps you can take, and I loved how you then went into your own experience of how you had your joy day
It was almost miraculous how that came together, starting off with an
with
alarm
the
going.
alarm, right? I
But
mean,
so
usually that's
that
going to ruin your day.
exactly. But for
Yeah.
some, because I had that time, that extra time, I just found myself on these meditations on that, and I, without knowing it, I had that right ahead of me later on in the day playing with those dogs. Oh my God, the welcome to come in there and let them out of their cages and go in the living room, and I'm just getting pummeled by those guys.
That's nice, isn't it? All
Yeah.
that love and everything. Boy,
Oh,
that puppy has some amazing eyes.
oh, that puppy is I texted JT a few hours in and I said, "Can I give this puppy some NyQuil?" Uh typical puppy, man. It's like, oh, he's got the remote. Oh my
Oh
God,
no, right? Yeah,
yeah,
I
and
can
he's
see
got
that.
this, and or she, I should say. Yeah,
Well,
but
I
yeah,
saw her
so
in the background of that one picture just laying down in the snow, and I'm like,
yeah.
dag. Just
Yeah.
I can't imagine just laying down. I know.
Oh yeah, some dogs just love it.
I
Bowser
know.
just absolutely loved. It could be a thoroughly Arctic blast, and he would just be sitting out there. I have
Just
pictures of
hanging
him.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved
How
it.
about
Loved
that?
it.
That's really
Yes,
something.
other dogs will freeze their butts off out there.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
weird like that. They're very different.
They really are. I remember Stella because we never had any snow over here, but when it rained every several months,
Mm,
she'd go out. She hated that, and
yeah.
she likes water, but just when it was raining on her, she was like And then of course she didn't want to go to the bathroom, so that meant
Yes.
that I would have to stand out in the rain for like, come on, just go to the bathroom. What the heck?
Have you given any more thought to getting a dog?
Yes, I think about it almost every day. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
seriously, I really want one. But I keep getting there's several things that I think about. One is this was the latest thought that came. What if I got a dog and then I decided I didn't like the dog? What would happen? Well, it would be terrible. Like, see, with
Ah,
Stella, and I never had a dog before. I knew Stella before she was mine,
right, right,
and I was already head over heels in love with her. But what if I
right.
get a dog and I'm like, oh, I really, that's a great, and then I bring it home and it's just a terror. And it's just remember Seagram's, what a
Yeah,
jerk that dog was.
yeah,
I mean, you go
yeah.
to pet it, it just, just bite your hand off.
Right.
Well,
I
I don't want
have
that to happen.
I have a possible solution for
Yeah,
you.
what's that?
You could volunteer to foster rescue dogs.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, yeah, that help acclimate them back to normalcy, that kind of thing. Or you can they'll interview you, and it's like if you are a very experienced kind of dog trainer, you'll get the more
Mhm.
problematic dogs, but you would probably just get like, okay, this dog's waiting for his forever home, but they're, completely acclimated. I would, love to foster him during that process. And that way you're interviewing the dog during that
That's
process.
kind of an interesting thought. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
there's a shelter over by my house, and out here in California, they've I don't know if it's an LA County thing or all of California, but they don't allow breeders here anymore.
Good. That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, and there's a reason, of course. So you have to go to the shelter if you want to get a dog, or you have
Good.
to, if you want to get it from a breeder, you got to go out of state, I
Right.
believe.
Sure.
So there's a shelter down the road from my house, and one of my neighbors does volunteer work over there, and she was telling me the same thing, that I could do that, and I was thinking,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then Anne Marie every once in a while will say, "Well, you want to go to the dog shelter and just look at dogs?" I'm like, I can't do that because I
I
know exactly
know.
what'll happen.
Yeah.
I'll be coming home with at least one dog.
At least one dog. Yeah, I think you and I talked about that before. It's like, well, let's just go take a look. Go browse
No,
in a
yeah,
dog
you
shelter.
can't do that. Yeah.
It rips my heart out. I
Well,
want to take every one of them. Yeah.
So one time in California, I'm sorry, in Colorado, when we were living there, we had a great experience. Some friends of mine worked at a veterinary clinic, and Hallie was thinking that she might want to be a vet at
Every
that
kid
time.
goes through that. Yeah.
Yeah. So my friend was like, "Well, why come on down to the vet and bring Hallie, and we'll show her what a surgery looks like." Well,
Oh,
talk about
that's
jumping
not a
in.
way to ease a
Why would
kid
you?
in.
Yeah, why? Well, but at the time I thought, well, that sounds like a good idea. You want to do that, Hallie? She's like, okay. So we go down there, and so they show us all around, and I saw some amazing things. First, there was a dog that they were cleaning its teeth, and it was like completely unconscious, and it was a
Mm,
pug. And
mm.
so the dogs, when they're unconscious, their tongues come out, and this dog had like a 12-foot tongue. I mean, it
Yeah.
was just like, holy cow, is that what
Yeah.
their tongues look like? And then they took us into this room where they were about to do surgery. So we saw the dog, that it was a husky that was going to have, she was going to be
I love huskies.
neutered.
Mm.
Uh, and, um, and so there's all these other animals that are in cages in there, and they seem to know what was coming. And
Yeah,
there was
they
like
do.
I remember when I walked in the room, it was almost like, when you jump into a pool, you're enveloped by whatever, if it's cold or warm. I was enveloped by fear when I walked in there from these animals,
Wow.
and
Wow.
I felt like I could feel them.
Yeah.
And they were saying, don't kill me,
Mm.
like they were scared. And
Yeah.
so I had a bad feeling anyhow. Then it was time for the surgery, so we got to see the surgery through a window, and it was fascinating. But at the end of the day, we Hallie
Had
decided
nightmares.
he didn't want to be a vet anymore after that.
The other side of it, one of the last times I was at a vet, we lost Laney just a few months over 3 years
Yeah.
ago. God, a few things, but one, this lady vet comes out of the room. She just got bit in the face by a dog.
Oh
A
no.
couple of dumb dog owners. You could just tell they didn't know how to raise a dog. Some people you just tell they do not.
Right,
And yeah,
right.
so she gets bit in the face. They didn't even tell her that the dog had a propensity to do something like that. She was
It's
mad.
terrible.
She
Yeah,
was
oh
angry.
sure. Yeah.
Then another time, very close up to that, this is just so simple, but I'll never forget it. I see this middle-aged couple. I watched them come in with their big German Shepherd, and it wasn't very long. I watched them come out both crying, and they
Without
put
the
the
German Shepherd, yeah.
correct, and that just broke
So
my.
tough.
Oh, it's
So
so
tough.
tough.
Yeah, I mean, you see that every day. I was going to the same vet for all that time with
Yeah.
Stella, and every once in a while I'd go in and there'd be these candles lit, and I just wasn't paying attention, but they light these candles whenever they're going to
Oh.
do that job.
Mm,
And they did it for Stella too when I was
mm,
in there. But gosh, the people that actually do that, I don't know about any
they're
place
so
else,
good.
but those people over there, they were like family.
Yeah.
They were, and they must take classes on how to help people to transition
Yes.
through that
Yes.
whole
Yeah.
thing, because they were so great and so compassionate. And I'm actually really glad I got to be there to the
Oh yeah.
very end. Anne
Oh
Marie
yeah.
was reminding me, because we were kind of reliving this whole thing this week, and
Yeah.
she was like, remember this and remember that, and she just went through the whole thing. And it was hard actually, and
Oh
she
yeah.
reminded me that I was kissing Stella right on the tip of her nose as she was
Mm.
falling asleep, and I used to do that. That was our thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just great that's all she knew, was she was falling asleep. And
Yes.
but what a great way to be able to say goodbye. And
Yeah.
but boy,
Yeah.
was that ever hard. I
Oh,
don't know if
I
I can
know.
go through it again, Barry. That's the
I know.
problem.
I
That's
know.
the real problem, is
And
that
that's what everyone says. And
and
I
it's
know
a
that's what my brother went through too. Yeah.
and it's a huge commitment too. I mean,
Oh, it's
like,
huge.
you're just like, okay, anytime you want to go anywhere, you got to make plans. And
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have any dog friends, where it's
Mm.
like, oh,
Very important.
the
Yeah.
Johnsons are leaving town and we're going to watch Muffy or whatever. And then
Mm-hmm.
we're leaving town, they can watch Stella. We didn't have that. So every time we had to put her in a kennel, and it was
Yeah.
heart wrenching.
Oh, it is.
And now they have the video camera, so you can log in and see your dog there. And so Anne Marie would always want to log in and see every time Stella's over there just desperately barking. It's
Oh,
terrible.
oh, that is
And
heartbreaking.
then we
Oh,
couldn't actually get away because we'd be away and we'd be thinking about poor Stella the
yeah,
whole time. And
yeah,
then you get back and I pick her up, and I could almost tell she's mad at me, but she's happy at the same time.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
but she's barking all the way home. But she had this real like woof woof. But by the time I pick her up, she's like woof woof woof. she, she blew her bark out.
Oh, I watch dog videos on YouTube all
I
the time.
Anne Marie watches them and she shows some of them to me, and that's another area where I'm like, oh my gosh, that could be the perfect dog because a lot of them are up for adoption, and I'm
Mm,
like, well, what about that dog?
mm,
And I fall in love with them every time. That's why I know if
yeah.
I go to a shelter, I'm coming back with at least one
Oh,
dog.
oh yeah, I couldn't either. So there's Oliver the Beagle on YouTube, big star. He is so cute. So Lainey was a beagle, and Lisa just has Lainey. Lainey's the only dog Lisa ever knew.
Right, right.
And so she's still stuck there. But and beagles are so adorable.
They
So
are.
yeah, this Oliver the Beagle, I watched him go through a car wash the other day for the first time.
You-
Riveting is good cinema, you know?
okay. I just have to just say he was inside the car, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good.
That's what I mean. It's
I
mundane. Watch a
hate to
dog
see
get a
him get
bath.
dragged through a car wash. Let's see.
Right. His first time at the beach. I saw that.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh,
I
they are cute.
I took Stella to the beach one time, and I thought she would just love to jump in the water, and for some reason she was kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
She didn't go in. As soon as the water touched her paw, she was out. But she loves going in, like when I give her a bath and everything. She loves that. So I didn't.
Wow, that is backwards for a dog.
I know,
Weird.
right?
Yeah.
It was. Well, and she's got that lab, and the lab's like the water, but the
Yeah.
poodle, I don't know. She was a labradoodle, so
Okay.
maybe the poodles don't like that. I don't know,
Laney's
but she
weird.
liked it.
Laney's weird thing for a dog was she loves seafood, in particular salmon. Favorite thing
Really?
on the planet, which is
Wow,
weird for a dog. Most dogs would
that's
turn their
super
nose up.
right.
And so Lisa, for years, she makes salmon every Sunday to be part of her to get prepared for her lunches during the work week. And she would always give Lainey the skin from the bottom of the
Oh,
salmon and a
nice.
little bit of other parts of it too. But Lainey would, oh boy, was that as that salmon was approaching getting finished, she would run into the kitchen and jump on Lisa. Now, Lainey was 30 pounds. She was little, but she packed a wallop. Well, Lisa's little. And she would get Lisa get bruises on her leg and stuff from Lainey running in full steam ahead and just jump.
That's
It
pretty
just,
awesome.
yeah, just dying to get to that salmon. Yeah.
All right, isn't that fun to see?
Isn't it? And they when
Uh,
they all have their own little in particular things,
yeah,
they always
yeah,
do.
exactly. And it's
Yeah.
just, what Anne Marie used to talk to Stella, because she loved to go outside, and so
Oh yeah.
if you said, "Do you wanna?"
Yeah.
like that would get her attention,
Sure.
and so Anne Marie would say, "Do you wanna?" and then she'd name several things. Have a drink of water. Do you wanna and it's just so cute. She'd name like several things, and then finally when she would say go outside, she would run to the door real fast. Or another thing that I used to love was Anne Marie would come home, and I'd hear her talking to Stella in the other room with her Stella voice, a high falsetto voice, and she would say in Anne Marie's sweet voice, "Did you have a good day today?" And she would ask Stella that like 10 times. I'd hear that in the other room, and sometimes I'd laugh thinking, is she expecting Stella to
Yeah.
say, "Yeah, I had a pretty good day today?" But she'd ask her that, and at first it was like it was almost annoying, but then after a while it was like, oh, it's so endearing. And then
Yeah.
after Stella was gone, I just missed hearing
Yeah.
Anne Marie talking to Stella like that.
Yeah.
And because when I talked to Stella, I never had a Stella voice. It was like, come here, hey, what's happening? Hey, Stella.
Oh, the rest of us, I'm sure I adopt the sweet voice like you're talking to a kid. You
Almost
made me,
everybody.
yeah, you made me think of a funny meme that I saw years ago. I'll never forget. Is a picture of this dog, like a bulldog or something, laying in the back seat of like an SUV or something, and he's like sitting up kind of like a human looking out the window. That's why it was so cute and funny, right? And then it's like, well, what caption do you put with that? The caption
Mhm.
was terrific because he looks like he's pondering something. So he's sitting there, and the caption is, "Who's so? Who is the good boy?" And because you think about that for a minute, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?
Who is the good boy? I still don't have an answer.
Yeah, wonder who's the good boy.
That's a really good one. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's funny. It's funny.
Yeah. Uh,
So
uh,
I'm gonna take some videos, send them to you when I'm in Florida, and
oh, that's
hopefully
awesome.
it has been, mid 70s weather, which is perfect there. The sun's
That's how
so
it is out here
direct.
right now.
Oh yeah, the sun there's so direct. If it gets above that, it's hot.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, coming from Cleveland, definitely prefer low 70s
Hmm.
ideally, so
Perfect.
hopefully we get good weather. We usually do.
Now, last time you were on like an island over there,
Oh yeah.
right? That's where
Siesta
you're.
Key. Yeah.
Okay, are you going to stay on the key this time?
God no. We're right because you get landlocked. I mean, you're
Yeah,
held
yeah,
hostage there. We're right
yeah.
across the bridge from it. Got our
Uh-huh.
rental car and everything. So I
Good.
usually go jogging on the beach every morning.
Oh,
It's a
that's
easy drive right across the bridge and stuff. So that's the way
right.
to do it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's. You like to jog on the beach.
Mm.
Obviously, you're running barefoot, right?
No,
Uh,
I wear tennis shoes.
oh, you do.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
When
I
I
mean,
walk, I take off my shoes. But for a morning jog, if I'm going to do 5 miles on a beach, I'm wearing shoes.
are you in the sand?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very well, that sand there is that stuff that is exactly like in those ashtrays, those public ashtrays when we were kids,
Yes.
a super fine
Uh-huh.
white stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It packs down perfectly.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
that makes sense. Because I
Mm.
mean, I see people jogging on the beach here,
And
and
loose sand.
yeah,
Ugh.
they typically get closer to the water where
Yeah.
it's more packed down.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way they do it. Still, it's harder to run in the sand than
Yes.
anything
Yes.
else. I was down at the beach. Gosh, we were usually there's a trail along the beach. So usually when we go, Anne Marie and I go walking down there, we just walk on the trail. But sometimes we'll walk along the beach, and I'm down there in my bare feet. I stepped on a
Mm.
bee, got
Really?
stung. Yeah, it was
In the
terrible.
sand? The
Yeah,
hell's
it
a
was.
bee doing there?
I started noticing there was a bunch of bees in the sand, just walking
Really?
around in the sand, and then I was just like, I'm never doing that again.
Wow. No, I walk on the beach like when I walk, like so when we come back during the day, we usually do like 2 beach days. And Lisa just likes to lay there and chill for like a couple.
Yeah.
I can't. I can lay there for a little bit. I need to walk. It's such a beautiful beach. I just always need to move. And so I'll walk for 7 miles or something, but I do it all barefoot at that point. It
What
feels good
beach
to
do you
me.
go to?
Siesta Key.
I'm sorry. I was thinking
Yeah.
about Cleveland just then. Anne Marie was just down at the beach, and she was taking a really cool video actually. And then she was showing, hey, check out the sand here. It's down at Zuma Beach in Malibu. And she says, there's all these charred bits in the sand. And she started going through it. And then sure enough, she was showing all these little things that I just hadn't noticed that are in the sand. So it's from that fire a couple of years
Oh,
ago, and it's
oh,
just all that stuff. It just never goes away. It's there. I don't know if it'll
wow.
ever go away.
Wow. So what though you said the weather's low mid 70s right now.
Yeah, it's like really good weather out here this
Nice.
week. It's been in the lower 70s actually,
Hmm.
and pretty nice. Pretty nice. And I told you, I've been riding my bicycle regularly. So but I've
Nice.
been doing that at night, and it's been like 56 or something like that.
It's
So
chilly.
yeah, a little chilly, but still feels good and all. And I'm getting back into it finally, and trying to. I'm not trying to kill myself out there,
Good.
and
Good.
but I'm also trying to do a little bit more and just
Man,
kind of
just being
get
outside, you're
get back
doing
on that.
something
Yeah,
Good.
it feels great. It feels great. And
What's the
so
social climate feel like now? Is it the oppression lifting at all with Governor Newsom, and where's that at with the?
yeah, so the one thing that he did, this was, a couple weeks ago, like we talked about, is that now the restaurants are outside open, 25% capacity, so you can go there. There's a lot of mask requirements, so it's not even fun to do,
Mm,
unless, I mean, just once in a while. But I mean, we have this climate out here. It's funny. I mentioned that video of San Francisco.
mm.
The guy was talking about, it feels like when you see somebody else that they look down and they totally avoid you and try to it's kind of like that out here in Los Angeles too.
Oh,
Is that, I mean, it's, people seem to be afraid of each other, and
oh.
and I think that's a tough thing, man. Here in my neighborhood, though, I have some really good neighbors, and we all talk. We all go to the mailbox, and
Mm.
we talk, and
That's your water cooler.
yeah, it kind of is, and
Yeah.
nobody, people are typically not wearing masks right there at the mailbox.
Mhm.
But then if you move out towards the end of my driveway, anybody walking by, they're all wearing masks,
Oh,
and they're not even close to each other. They're just
right.
like by themselves. The nearest person is 300 yards away, but they're wearing a mask, and it's like, what do you think is?
Well, as I
I don't really
understand it,
understand.
because all your neighbors will yell at them.
That's what it is.
It's a
It's
sport.
become a social mores,
Hmm.
and that's and they want to, people feel shame,
Hmm.
and not only that, like if you go to like the hiking trails and stuff like that, people are wearing masks there because you want to
Mm.
get out and you want to just have fresh air and all that.
Yes.
And then when you go, and so now people, this is what this guy was talking about, and I could totally relate. He was saying, he was talking about his wife not wanting to go there
Mm.
because if she walks around without a mask on, people are going to look at her and she's going to feel shame. And so she just would rather just not even go. And I can totally relate to that whole feeling. It's completely demotivating. Like you don't want to, it causes you to not want to go outside. And
Oh.
that's and so it's terrible for your health,
Hmm.
not only mentally but especially physically.
Hmm.
And it's an uphill battle to get out of that. Henry and I are both now like regularly exercising and everything, but there was a long
Good.
time there where we weren't, just
Mm.
because we just got totally, especially during that 7 weeks of the terrible lockdown that we had, where
Yeah.
we weren't even alled to go outside. And
Oh.
I mean, I gained weight. I lost a lot, all this energy that I had, and
Sure.
it gets to be like 8:30, and I'm like, I think it's time for bed.
Yeah.
Like we can't have that.
Hey,
So
how's Scott doing? I haven't talked to him in a long time.
yeah, Scott's
Because he's
doing,
going through the same stuff right down the road from
yeah,
me.
he definitely is. I mean,
Mhm.
we're challenged. We're
Mm.
definitely challenged, and business is challenging. Something
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up on the show is that we were really earlier. We were really hoping that as we turn the corner into 2021, that we'd start to see some changes, especially in light of the vaccination. But Barry, I'm not seeing it at all. I don't see any signs of any kind of lifting as far as the business stagnation that's happened.
Well, let's talk about that in next week's show. First of all, that's really depressing to hear.
Mhm.
Especially as geez, what do you probably got about 8 going on 8 months or so under your belt here?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm
Oh,
I'm prospecting a lot,
yeah.
but I'm barely getting anybody on the phone or responding to any of my outreaches. It's a grind. That's how I would call it. It's a
I,
grind
I
right now.
I totally get that. I guess the positive I could see in that is, like I said, the trends. I look at those charts all the time, and boy, does it look like we're getting on the other side of this real soon. And I hope to God that there is just an elation, kind of a feeling that we really rebound, is what I'm trying to say, soon, as people start feeling hopeful and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's it's important. Here I'm working with hospitals, and hospitals work at very thin margins to
Mm,
begin with, and a lot of their elective surgeries had been,
yeah.
eliminated, and that's really where they make their profit. So you take that out, and over a year period of time, even if they were to open up the floodgates and okay, it's behind us, they still have a deficit that they have to make up here.
Mm.
And so I think that it's going to be a process to get back to where we were financially. And we just have to be patient with that whole thing. But it's tough, man. It's really tough out there, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Hospitals are buying things because they have to,
Mhm.
but being able to get the mind share and the attention. And here's the other thing: is resources at hospitals are very thin right now
Mm.
to be able to implement things. They're just operating on a shoestring budget right now with
Wow.
everything. And I know Lisa's having to deal with the same thing, being in the
Oh yeah.
industry.
She helped she helped launch a division of a company for Metro Health right before COVID started. I mean, it literally launched as COVID. We first heard of it. And so they had all these projections. Of course, if you're going to launch a company in this kind of a level, then you've got all kinds of estimates and a business plan and all these goals that you're supposed to hit. Well, nobody predicted COVID coming around. So,
Right.
yeah, it's made moving forward for any kind of a phase two there very, very challenging.
I know, man. I know. It's we're in for a long way. It's we're gonna have to go uphill. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Mm.
And we're gonna have to toughen up and just know that it's gonna be a tough road, but we're gonna be able to get over the crest, and that we'll be able to get there. But we're gonna have to have some real fortuity going forward here, and this is
Well,
not for the faint of heart.
I put in my notes and I didn't bring it up, but because it's so partisan and it can feel so partisan, but with Joe Biden possibly opening, being perceived to open up borders, that is causing a lot of concern on a bipartisan basis.
I'm concerned about that, especially being so close to the border.
Well, yeah. And
And
so,
especially, let me add another piece. Our district attorney Gascon has decided not to prosecute crime, not to go against a, a ton of crime, and he says that it's racist to do that. And so now we've got an influx of people that are going to come over the border, and
oh my
we've got
God.
a district attorney that's basically tied the hands of the police force. And it's a terrible formula that is brewing over here.
I,
We're already in a bad place, but
yeah.
how did this happen? It's
How
pretty
did
crazy.
it happen? I mean, everybody's leaving there in mass quantities and nobody's getting a freaking clue. Uh,
it,
it's amazing to me.
it is
Rogan
amazing.
Rogan talks about it on his podcast, which I
I've
don't
heard of
listen to a lot now because of the move over to Spotify.
Spotify.
Yeah, I hate that app. But I mentioned watching Tulsi Gabbard's, and then he just had Elon Musk on again.
I saw part of that.
Did
Did you
you?
you sent
Good
did
one.
you send that over to me? I saw it where they were talking about it was actually kind of funny. Joe Rogan was asking about some design. I don't know, but I
Oh,
saw
the
part of it.
rocket.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he's like, no, I wanted them to sharpen the edges because it look cooler. And he goes, well, did that have some kind of an effect? I mean, for mobility, aerodynamic? No, I just thought it'd look cooler.
I like that
It
answer.
was a really good interview. But to my point, so he moves to Austin. He goes, I hate to say it, but it's utopia out here. That's what he says. And he goes, but it couldn't happen. He goes, I know it couldn't happen. And he goes, I hate to say it because I don't want everybody coming from California and bringing California here
That's what
because,
they'll do too.
yeah, he goes, we got this really moderate to left atmosphere here in Austin. He goes, but I believe it's absolutely necessary that the rest of the state stays red to protect it so that it can actually be. And that's always been my theory with Canada. They get very arrogant because they're like the little brother step kid or something like that. And they get very arrogant with how we don't need guns and we're so
Yeah.
liberal. And yeah, it's because you're in our armpit. You're protected by us. You know what
I
I
can see
mean?
that. I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. So think about if everybody's at war, our side's right, your side's wrong. and how we, if you want the closest thing you can get to a utopia, you're going to need a right wing kind of a protection so that the oblivious people in the middle living in their little utopia can do that.
Totally makes sense to me.
It does to me too. My God, we're so divided though. So, anyways, back to everybody leaving California, including tons and tons of businesses.
Yeah.
Aren't they having a wake up call yet? Apparently not.
I mean, it seems to me like they just don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we do have the people, and when I say they, I mean the people that are in our government right now. But the people obviously do care because this recall effort is happening.
Mm.
We've already got more than enough signatures right now for the recall to happen. However, the recall deadline is March 17th, and we're trying to get as many signatures on that as possible. We've got we needed 1.5, almost 1.5. They surpassed that last week. They're trying to get to 2 million signatures because there's these new regulations. They're going to go and look at the signatures and verify signatures. So it's interesting, Barry. When I signed, they were saying make sure you do not go outside the lines with your signature, because
Mm.
if you do that, they'll disqualify your signature.
Wow.
So it's going to be like that.
Mm.
And so, of course, the folks that are going to look at this are the ones that don't want the recall to happen. So
Sure.
it's going to be
Magnifying
interesting.
glass.
Here's
Yeah.
another thing that's in Congress, in the state assembly right now, and it's about to be signed, is that all 2021 elections in the state of California will be strictly by mail.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
So
that
that
sounds
means
right.
so
Yeah.
that means that the recall vote when it gets triggered would be strictly by mail,
Mm.
which it seems like the fix is already in to me. I mean, it just does not make any sense at all. Anyway, but this is going to happen. And it's going to be pretty interesting and how this happens. I think that the election, like once it happens, that they'll actually have an election that'll start in like October or September,
Mm.
and then anybody can run against the governor on that. And last time there was like over 100 people, including Arnold Schwarzenegger and Gary Coleman and Mariana Huffington. They all ran for governor.
Mm.
They were porn stars. They'll be all the same. It'll be the usual suspects that'll
Mm.
run, including former mayors and things like that. I know the mayor of San Diego he's thrown his hat in. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens. Meanwhile, they're starting a recall effort on this new district attorney that I just spoke about, Gascon. So
Mm.
the deal is that people are seeing it and they're actually taking action to take their state back. And so
Mm.
that's actually pretty encouraging. At the same time, California's got a long way to go to get back to where they need to be, and I don't know that I'm interested in sticking around until that happens,
Yeah.
because the tax rates out here are outrageous. You can't you buy a house out here, and the taxes on your house are just you remember that house I had in Cleveland? By just the taxes I could have paid for that house.
Yeah.
So this is
You almost bought a house about 2 years ago.
almost, and I'm so glad I didn't.
Wow.
Because this environment, look, when they stop protecting your town
Yeah.
with the law, who's going to want to move here? And
Yeah.
how are
Your
you gonna sell
property
your
value.
house? Yeah, exactly. So like I said, I'm glad I didn't invest in
You're
this
right.
area, because I feel like I could have easily lost a good deal of money here. But the interesting thing out here, Barry, is that housing prices have pretty much maintained throughout this whole coronavirus, which I don't really understand how that's happened. I don't understand how the stock market has also gone through the roof.
I
Somebody's got to
know.
explain how this works.
I don't. I have no idea. I had
I don't
no
either.
idea. Yeah, the economy is just a bunch of phony baloney anymore. It's just a bunch of manipulating numbers on a computer to make people behave a certain way, which makes this happen.
Yeah.
It's so beyond me.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it with the GameStop thing, right? It's like,
Mhm.
look, the market is being run by very rich people. They're the ones picking the winners and the losers. You're just
Mhm.
along for the ride.
Right, right. And if you could get a little lucky here and there,
Yeah,
you're getting lucky because
man,
it's rigged.
I know. And I was like, I was daydreaming yesterday about, God, if I could have just put like $1,000 into that GameStop thing, I'd probably be a millionaire right now. I'd be like,
Well, and
this,
what I was thinking is I wouldn't mess with it, but when it was up to 400 something dollars a share from $4 or whatever it
yeah,
was, short that thing at that point because there's no way it's going to remain up there. What
no,
I
you
don't
got to get out of
understand,
that.
yeah, what I don't understand is how do these people, why isn't everybody shorting it or was everybody shorting it at that point?
I don't know.
After the manipulation happened is what I'm saying.
I don't know. And I dabble with stock and everything. And it's so stressful.
I
It's
may
just really stressful.
I lost so much money in that crash around 99.
And a lot of people did. And then people that hung on to their stocks, a lot of those stocks rebounded and then ended up making a profit. I had some stock with my old company, and I put a lot of money into that through the employee stock purchase plan. And when COVID first started, I lost half of it. And it
Mm.
was just like, oh my God, and I remember Anne Marie and I having some pretty tense conversations. And then I was just like, no, we're in it for the long run. We're in it for the long
Yeah.
run. Well, that thing bounced back up to a pretty good number. And as soon as I saw that, I was just like, okay, I'm out of here. I got to sell this. And I did. I'm so happy I
Nice.
did. Just,
Yeah.
it was like, I did make a profit, which was good, but man, that was scary. That was
Yeah.
scary.
Not for the faint of heart. I
No,
don't know. I
not at
don't even
all.
know if the common guy should do it. I think the best you can do is like invest in what's those top ones? But anyways, maybe even into a mutual fund and hopefully get your 7-8% return because that's all they're gonna let you get.
Mm,
It feels so rigged.
It's true though. You're exactly right about that. And I mean, I have 401ks and stuff like that, like everybody else does. But you look at what they're talking about in Washington, and you're like, God, are they going to try to steal my nest egg here?
Yeah.
Or it's interesting times we live
I
in here.
don't believe pensions are safe. I don't believe anything's safe.
Yeah, I don't
You
think so.
know,
Well, and you take a look at our history, and you're like, okay, whatever you have in the bank could be wiped out.
it could.
You don't. It's just this is life, and
Yeah.
there's no guarantees. But you just do the best you can. I think right now, because a lot of this is out of our control.
Right, right. Yeah. So if you got a bunch of paper money stashed in your basement somewhere, that could easily be kindling or, fire
I know.
stuff.
We were just. I was talking to Anne Marie about that. Like she was saying the same thing. Maybe we just put it in the mattress, and I'm like, yeah, but what if the mattress catches on fire?
Or gold coins. God only knows, what's
Yeah,
valuable. I don't know.
it's
What's
hard to
valuable
tell.
at the end of the day is food, but that's perishable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They always say precious metals,
Yeah.
gold and silver, and so
Oh, they
it's-
always say, well, this world's
they,
always changing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Who knows? Follow God,
Hmm.
follow your heart.
Hmm.
I found when I follow my gut, I'm always happy that I followed my gut.
Yeah.
Like I said, we talked about that house. I followed my gut on
You
that, and I'm
did.
so glad.
Yeah.
And even if you're wrong, it's a lot easier to be wrong when you followed your gut than to be wrong when you didn't. Because
Oh,
when you're wrong and you
I
didn't follow your
knew
gut,
it.
it's like but I knew it the whole time. It's so bitter. It's bitter.
It is. Yeah, it is. Hey, I better get
All right,
going.
let's wrap it up, man. Hey, it's
Yeah.
great talking to you. I
Yeah,
hope you
you
have a
too.
great weekend, Barry. Happy
You too,
Friday to
buddy.
you.
Love you,
All
buddy.
right,
Talk
love you
soon.
too, man. Bye.